Hey guys, so let's get into part 4 of Celpip reading. One tool I use in this part of Celpip reading is scanning because, like always, you do not have time and you really want to answer all the questions as much as you can because this part is hard. So the more you are able to answer all the questions, the more you are able to maximize your mark. So to do this part, the first rule is that you must never leave any question unanswered and say you will go back to it. Whether you know the answer or not, pick something and move on. And then when you are done, you can go back. But I'm going to be teaching you how you are going to be picking your answers best of your ability so that that first trial you are able to maximize or get it correctly. And if you can't, at least you are able to get as much as possible correct. For my first paragraph, I use skimming, read the first line and the last line because your first question is always in that first paragraph and always around that side. However, if you skim and you're still not able to answer it, try to read the whole paragraph and then you can always, like, maybe sometimes the answer can also be in the last paragraph, but most times it's always in the first one. That being said, for all the other part of the question, I use just scanning. And the reason why I use scanning is that there is no time. So what I usually do is to go to the question, pick the keyword. I always pick two keywords. One is going to be the name of the person that you're going to read their opinion because question on the especially the first part of the question, because the questions are divided in two sections. The first section, you identify a keyword, the name of the person that has that opinion, and then a keyword that would show you the right place where you are going to be looking. So when I identify the person's name, I run through my passage scanning one after the other. You don't need to check the person's name in the first paragraph anymore. They don't always put people's opinion in the first paragraph. It's always like, because you have read it already, trying to answer number one. So you already know the person's name is not there. So you start from paragraph two, you start scanning. You're not reading, you're just checking line by line for that person's name. So until you see the person's name, don't stop. When you see the person's name, then you stop and then look for that keyword or the synonym of that keyword, the second keyword you picked, and then read around that area that has that sentence. You'll be able to see your answers correctly. So now let's practice the part 4 together using the free question on celpip.com. And if you like it afterwards, you can subscribe to the website using the 15% discount code on this screen. I'll be posting the actual practice in the next video. So guys, to start answering the question, I go to my number one question. I read the question and go through the options, then I have an idea of what I'm looking for. And then for that number one, like I said, I try to skim through the passage. I run through the passage quickly by skimming, reading the first line of the first sentence and also like the last sentence. This gives me an idea of what this passage is all about. You always see it here in the first sentence. So after that, I after reading, I go straight to picking my answer, which is the second option. You can see in the passage, controversy surrounding the stunt professional is on that last line, although it was paraphrased. So for my second question, I read the question and I get the keyword, which is the name of the person, Dr. Kunko. And what I do is to start from the second paragraph and start running through the line. I'm just checking for the name. I'm not reading. I'm just checking for where I will see the name. So I see the name, then I stop. Please note that you don't need to go back to the first paragraph because the name you already read that before and the name is not there and it's not always there. And also for your second keyword that you're searching with, it can be a word, it can be a phrase. So the phrase I picked here was studio resist transparency. So I go there looking for similar synonyms or a paraphrase of that place, and I read my options and I see to check the one that matches whatever that was said there. Note that it's hard for you to see it directly the way it's stated there. but they will always like paraphrase it that it will mean the same thing. So you are reading for meaning. So this one now, because she is talking about acknowledging why they are not acknowledging the stunt professionals. So I picked my answer, which is number two. And then I go to the third question. I read the question and then I pick the name, Daniel Vega. And my second phrase is attitude towards the film industry. So first of all, to find out the right place, I continue searching for Daniel Vega's name, and I start from the second paragraph too because I know I saw the name somewhere there before, and I checked because note that the questions here can ask you from any part first. It's not according to paragraph. So this one now is found in the second paragraph. So I see Daniel Vega, and then I read the sentences around where I see the name, the sentence around there, and while reading, I already have that second phrase in my mind, which is the attitude towards film industry. So, so attitude helps me to know that I'm looking for how somebody feels about something, and I see personally disheartening. That makes me know that oh, I'm in the right place. So I read the sentence around there, and I see uh, where they talked about um, how the stunt double remain deliberately invisible, and this informed my response to uh, the profound frustration over deliberate marginalization because you see precision deliberately invisible is the same thing as marginalization. So I read my next question and I identify two names, so, Sophia Benan and Jonathan Hargrove, and they're asking what they would agree about. That tells me already that they have differing opinions. So I know that their opinion is going to be like in contrast to one another. I start searching for the name. I don't go start from the beginning when I start searching for the name again because I've gone through the other part of the paragraph and I know that their names are not there. So I start searching here. I see Sophia Benan and I read what she said about recognition of stunt double to create a different category of award for them. That's her own opinion. And then I go check, remind myself of the second name I was searching for. I will go continue searching for the person's name. When I see the name, I read his own opinion, which says that they already have an award that accommodates the stunt doubles work. So that means both of them are in contrast. This person is saying create new category for them. This person said the one they have is enough. So that's the basis of their comparison. I go read that again to be sure. But while you're reading, be fast because you do not have lots of time. That's where practice comes in. If you practice, you build on your speed. So I read the options and you see how the second option talked about how if the category of award currently they have currently recognizes the contributions. I also go through the other options to make sure that this is the right fit. And yes, it's the right one. I pick that and I continue my to my other question. And I read the question. The article suggests that the invisibility of stunt performance is so this is also like partly in the part one of the passage because this place is asking you the causes of the invisibility of stunt performer. So from everything I've read, I already know what my answer is likely to be because I've gone through the passage. But then I go through the places that I feel it's more likely to explain the question, which is always the first paragraph. Whenever they ask you what the article is about, always check the first paragraph because the other paragraph are always like different people's opinion. But when it comes to the main article itself or the article in general, check the first paragraph or where you don't have people's name stating what they feel. So I proceed to the next section, which is you trying to pick the word that is the best fit for that particular sentence. And if you read the sentence, after picking your option, read the sentence and see that it makes sense to you. You see how I picked pressing, it made sense in that particular sentence. And then the second question, I read it. because I know like I have something on Sophia Brennan. I know where it is. I already know my what my answer is, but to confirm that, I can go to where I saw the person's name again and quickly remind myself of what the person's opinion was, and I pick my answer. And the reason why I did that is because I saw that name keyword. So I quickly go to that place where Sophia is and pick my and read the sentence again to remind myself of her view. So this helped me pick the fact that she is clamoring for recognition of some double. So I pick my response and then I proceed to the next question. So I read my question and go ahead to pick my option. And this one is quite easy for me to pick an option because when I went through the other options, something that I've talked about in the passage is deliberate marginalization, is the marginalization. So I picked deliberately marginalized, and that is me confirming it because I had answered a question earlier talking about it. Other things there are not stated in the passage anywhere. So I go ahead, read my next question, which is about Hargrove. I think it's Jonathan Hargrove. I checked my answer immediately to see what is the best fit. I pick my answer, which is the convenient rationale, because he was defending the industry. So, which is why I picked it. I remember that from when I went through the passage. So, I also like read the last question and take a guess of what is likely to fit in here. And when I take my guess, I read the sentence to make sure that it fits, like it makes more sense from what that when you put it together with the sentence that it makes sense. So, and establishing a dedicated award category is the option that fits in this sentence correctly and made it make sense. So, what you are doing in this section of the passage from the beginning to the end, from pressing now, is that you are picking the answers that fit in, that when you put them in each of these sentence in the lower questions, that they will give you complete sense. So you read, when you pick your option, try to read that part again and make sure it makes sense to you, and you can see that I was able to answer every question correctly. So practice this strategy, use it to answer other questions. There are tons of it on celpip.com. Subscribe and use the discount code to get discount. Practice this strategy to make sure that it works. Practice it, use it and build your speed, because the first one you may not be able to meet up with time, but don't worry, continue. The more you practice, the more you're able to build your speed. See you in the next video.